podcast powered by Siemens. And now your host, Niall Sullivan.
Okay, so hello and welcome to this episode of the Trend Detection Podcast on our new home, which will be, once this is published, on the Siemens Podcast Network. And we're not quite live again, doing our live sessions, but we will be very soon, hopefully, so keep an eye out for that. But for now, we're going to continue our Truth About Predictive Maintenance sessions with my colleague, Nat Ford, who I'll ask to introduce himself in a sec. But today, we're going to talk about, and again, it's related to actually with our recent integration with Siemens. It's really about the full stack offering, which being part of Siemens and all the various wonderful products available, we can do that versus a software offering, and really what are the advantages, and what doors that has opened, I guess, for us. So before we get started, I'll just ask Nat just to introduce himself to the audience.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Niall. Good to see you. Hello, everybody. My name is Nathaniel. I would have previously introduced myself as one of the sales directors from Senseye, but as I hope you're aware, Senseye is no more. We are now part of Siemens entirely. So the products still exist, the people still exist, the mindset still exists, but we're now part of a much bigger organization, which is fantastic and actually bodes well for this conversation. I have been with the company for 5 years, and the reason that I like doing these calls is because me and colleagues like me spend an awful lot of time with clients, but we see the full life cycle of relationships right from the first moment we meet people, and evangelizing and understanding the situation through to sort of full deployments. And of course, along that journey, there's lots of things that happen and considerations and things which are worthy of discussion. And so it's interesting to come on these sessions with you, Niall, and talk those things through. And I think today's topic is quite an interesting one, really, because that comparison between a full stack solution versus, I guess, how we positioned ourselves before as being the software piece across the cloud, diligently providing a predictive maintenance solution, regardless of architecture, is an interesting, and the impact on us is going to be interesting of the potential changes.
No, exactly. So, I mean, should we start by just sort of defining what those two, what we're saying, what are we comparing here, I guess? Would be a good starting point, I think. Yeah,
so let's do that in a kind of non-Siemens Senseye way, and then let's talk about some of the great stuff that's happening, will have happened once you publish this discussion. So essentially, as a technology, previously we would discuss with clients the need for predictive maintenance, and the need for the ability to raise cases on assets. And we are market leaders at providing that level of intelligence, that layer. And we do it via the cloud. We have data pushed towards us. We consume it. We do the stuff that we do, and then we push back results. And every client we meet will have a slightly different architecture and a different set of strengths, weaknesses around that. Some of them will be very, very advanced in thinking about implementing new technologies and having data ready. Others will be they will simply have an OT layer and nothing beyond it. And that's fine. So you can, in that capacity, you can guide clients, you can introduce them to other vendors, you can talk about maybe what they should be, or you can work to get best value from the current architecture. But the other end of the scale, of course, is going into an organization and saying, we are experts in digitalization. A facet of digitalization is predictive maintenance. And we can work with you to fill out all those gaps, to look at your estate and think about where the machine sits and the kind of services you might want to consume that were data-driven decision-making products, and the bits in between that you're going to require. So all of the edge technology, data storage, data sensors, etc., all the way up to things like digital twins, all those sort of good technologies. And of course, if you're in a situation of doing that, then you're a vendor who provides a stack of information. And interestingly, that's where we find ourselves. So, previously we were selling the across the cloud solution, and now we're part of an organization who have technologies in and around all of those areas. So we can truly go into a company and provide a full stack solution from it may be even that there's a company providing the hardware, but everything that sits there on top. But I think it's even more kind of pertinent now because, next week, which will probably be in the past when this publishes, we're going to be at Hanover Messe. And one of the things that we'll be discussing at Hanover Messe is Siemens Accelerator. And for those who don't know what Siemens Accelerator is, it's not a new product set. It is basically an overarching intention. It's an ambition that Siemens have expressed to be leaders in helping the market to go through this digital revolution that people have been talking about for so long, to increase the speed of adoption. One of the challenges that we've had as a business over the last years is that people are very slow and are very happy to start with small projects to grow very slowly, when actually there is so much already proven technology that's ready to give so much value. So Siemens is positioning itself correctly to be able to go and help companies to really change the rate of adoption so they can start to embrace and get benefit from all the things which are available now, move into a fully digitalized kind of age. And the reason I'm mentioning that, I think it's really interesting about it, is the four things that they focus on within that. Two of them are most important from our aspect. One is that it has to be open. So they don't want to be a siloed company. They don't want to have vendor lock-in. They recognize that they're going to help the market to very rapidly scale into a digital world. You can't say, well, we're going to be the only vendor. You have to recognize that every company has different architectures. So you need to have that open, embracing approach. You need to have interoperability between the different things that you're doing. So you don't have multiple verticals in your business that are providing different solutions. So everything needs to be able to plug and play, and you need to build, internally and externally. It needs to be flexible. So companies need to be able to do things in different ways at different scales, scale at different speeds. And also the idea that, as we have done for some time, that these things should be provided as a service as opposed to boxes, right? So they're the kind of concepts and the ideas that will guide the way that I could keep saying they. Let's say we're Siemens, right? So we will be,
aren't we?
exactly. We'll be guided by those principles and that idea. So it's kind of like the vision and the mission to achieve said vision in our area of the business within DI be around industrial operations. So taking that ideology and looking at it in classically in factories and manufacturing areas and with maintenance teams, etc. So thinking about how do you embrace that connection between IT and OT, and how do you do that rapidly, and how do you do that scalable, open, flexible, interoperable way. And then very specifically for us in the percentage of that whole vision that we'll be helping to achieve as part of the Siemens world will be data-driven decision tools. So you've got your environment, your estate, your machines, the things that that are part of your life. You've got your technologies that are helping you to extract data and do things and store it and convey it and be meaningful. And then products like Senseye that help you to rapidly get value from that data and to make decisions. So if you look back at where we were a year ago, we were providing that bit that we're describing as over here, but we were doing it walking into environments and then finding out what was the lay of the land. But we're in this really privileged situation now where we're working as part of a much bigger team that not only have the technology available, but have this overarching vision, which exactly matches what we were trying to achieve in the first place. So, if we discuss this process of how those things match against each other, software versus full stack, my concern may have been, my reticence may have been historically that we're going to walk into an environment where we'll be starting to be siloed in one way or another. And of course, we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to work with clients to make available a mindset of rapidly onboarding new technologies, and we can be part of that, but without hampering them or tying them up with particular, without giving them vendor lock-in, so they have the freedom. That's not the only important facet of it, but it's an important part if we want to be an agnostic organization. Yeah,
exactly. Because we've got to acknowledge that every customer's setup is clearly going to be different with different using different products. Yeah. So we've got to move with the market. And like I said, Accelerator is a big or massive step forward towards that as well. I mean, what I'd add on to that as well, so part of that ecosystem, that's not just Siemens products, but I mean, I guess a question for you, Nat, as well. So partners are a key part of it as well.
Yeah.
So how do you sort of feel they fit into this sort of full stack offering?
Well, in a number of ways. So if you think about our world and the people that we talk to on a day-to-day basis and the people that we call colleagues, in order to be effectively speaking to organizations on a global basis, we have to recognize that they've got all sorts of connections and friends and delivery partners and partners, etc., who have domain expertise and knowledge, who can take the same mindset that has been kind of templated by Siemens and take technology and help us to work with those environments. If you look at our main clients, all of them have preferred integrators and preferred hardware vendors, etc. So it's important that we network with them. And it's not just a question of them reselling a process. They'll all come with domain expertise that adds value to the work that we do or the solutions that we provide.
Yeah. Again, it's acknowledging that even Siemens can't offer anything. Otherwise you wouldn't work with partners, would you? You wouldn't bring in partners if there was an added value there. But it's a lot of what I've been hearing, because I talk a lot to analysts about this sort of composable technology and like one whole offering together, all these technology hardware offering together, which again is where Accelerator's going to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a neat mindset to come with, because if you look at the Siemens stack, if you want to call it that, we had that day recently where we went and met one of our clients and presented with a whole tranche of people from other people from Siemens like us. And we were looking at edge technology. We were looking at cloud connectivity and different ways of achieving that. We're looking at condition monitoring hardware and so basically sensing technology, various different versions and flavors that give different fidelity of data and different purpose of data. And we were looking at drive technology. And, all of those things could be seen as, you might look at them as catalog items that are separate. But actually, if you start this vision off with a company, this conversation off by looking at accelerating the adoption of digital processes and digital decision-making tools, then all of those pieces actually make much more part of a much more elegant solution that has a really defined business outcome, as opposed to standalone widgets where you might describe the speed of something or I don't know what the variables are, but the features, if you like. So there's a good story to tell about composable units within that wider architecture that helps you achieve a business goal.
And I think, and then that event worked particularly well with the carousel elements where we had setups of each product, but it wasn't just randomly set up. It was set up in a way where it tells the complete story as you go around. So like you have all these elements in place, then you've got Senseye at the end where the data gets pushed and you get your insights as well. So exactly. I guess so from your point of view, that's the best way to present this to the customer. And I guess in their own minds, they can think, oh, actually, I do have gaps, here and here. And this particular product could help me, improve this part of my process. So that's the best way to think about it.
Yeah. Well, there might be where they think, well, we don't have a gap there, so we don't need to consider that part. We have all our sensing technology in place, or we have a preferred vendor for data platforms. That's fine. We can help to look at that estate and look at that spread of technology and work out where you need to have additions that are going to tweak and give you a faster route to digitalization.
Yeah, I was wondering whether, although it was too cheesy to say, but it's like you could almost you could have your digital transformation roadmap and sort of map it with all these different elements. If you bring in partners as well, it's pretty much the way plugging the gaps is the best way to put it. But or the issues you're trying to solve on that journey, you can essentially map it to a lot of these different products. That's sort of the beauty of it, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's, it really is important, because if you think about a lot of the projects we've done, you start off conceptually with the idea that, let's look at it as purest form. You meet a client, they have a problem with downtime. We know intellectually that we can solve that problem by taking data, either existing data or data that we gather by implementation of sensors, but we can take the data and we can start to give them cases. But of course, there's always devil in the detail, and that's kind of the job of our delivery team, is to navigate that complexity. But that complexity will be related to interweaving the existing platforms and then integrating one product with another with our data. And that comes with challenges. And a lot of those challenges are not because they're not achievable, it's because they haven't been considered before, or they haven't been seen as part of the same stack, etc. So this kind of view on the whole process allows us to be pre-armed with solutions, pre-armed with integrations, and pre-armed with APIs, etc. They're going to match those needs.
I know we're focused on obviously the big benefit of all this, that there's options, and if there's gaps to be filled, there's gaps to be filled. But looking at it the other way, is it possible to overwhelm customers with too many options? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it is. I think you. Well, I mean, I don't know what other people's experience of life is, but I know I get overwhelmed if I get given too many options or solutions to problems that I haven't fully understood yet. If you understand what the challenge is in front of you, then it's easy to understand what the various options are. It's when you start hearing product names or solutions in areas that you didn't know there was even an issue. And there is a risk, of course, when you start talking to a company about any type of solution you can implement, if you start overwhelming them with discussions around edge and cloud and condition monitoring information and drive technology, etc. But I think that the reason I like this approach that Siemens have taken is because it steps away from that delineation and starts to talk more generically about, at a higher level, about what you're trying to achieve, and then you can kind of look at those details and give them to the right department or the right people to think about solving, as opposed to getting up and close and worrying too much about the integration between your SQL database, whatever you're using, and whatever's next in the chain of command. So yes, I think there is a danger of that, but I think this helps to navigate it. The event that we ran certainly helped make clear the various stages involved in these types of processes.
Exactly, and
we should do more of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It just shows what's out there as well. Because I guess before, when we were just offering one slice of the pie, I guess that's a question actually. Is it more difficult to identify those other areas which may have an effect on the deployment of a predictive maintenance solution like Senseye? But it must be more difficult if you don't know what. Because how do you bring that up in conversation? You're missing drives, you're missing this, you're missing that. It can be hard to get into that unless you've got a conversation starter for it.
Yeah, I suppose, if you're going to think about it that way, if you think about the people that we engage with in the sales cycle when we're talking to an organization, there will be some of the stuff we're talking about will get brought up by IT. And it's probably more responsible for us as a vendor to have raised it first and have it as part of the plan, the kind of scoping phase, to understand the current situation, what's available, and to educate about what might be needed and how that might be achieved, rather than waiting for it to be a question that's raised by a division who aren't going to be the end client ultimately, like IT. So yeah, this definitely formalizes the process of having a view on the full requirement, if you like.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay. So,
I think it'd be a good idea to have a follow-up session on this, where we get somebody in from one of the Siemens departments to discuss in depth some of the technologies.
That's a really good point, because I guess we've got the Senseye Predictive Maintenance perspective within Siemens, but you're right, it'd be an interesting discussion viewing it from our point of view, from the outside in, from the other way, bringing a platform or product like us into the conversation, if it works the same way in that respect, or the mindset's in the same way. I don't know have you had any feedback working, because obviously you've worked very closely with a lot of our colleagues from that point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that some of the guys that we met recently would be up for that conversation. But I'm not going to put words in their mouth. Let's ask them. Let's see if they'll come on and chat.
Exactly. No, that's good. That's really good.
So not a big topic today, but I think, just from my point of view, as a summary, we were very specifically a cloud software vendor, and had an agnostic view on the market. We're now part of a huge organization who have a full stack offering, which they describe much more responsibly now as, tools that you can help to achieve this overall acceleration process, Siemens accelerator process, of enhancing and speeding up digitalization. And we're sort of really excited to play part of that. There will always be that divide between the overall picture and the business, the problems that you solve, etc., and the nitty-gritty of actual technology and hardware and software. But we're going to learn more and more about it, and I think it's something that we can be excited about. Actually, if there's anybody who listens to this who works for an organization who thinks they benefit from having a session where they have a view on that kind of full stack, the things that sit within our area of the business that help to achieve digitalization, then get in contact with Niall and let them know, because we'd be very happy to run that session.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're keeping it short and sweet as we ease our way back in on this side, but it's good that I've got another future topic idea in the bag as well, so that's good. So just to reiterate, we'll be back live very, very soon. I haven't got an exact date, but we'll be running those live sessions. It's good to get people involved, asking questions as well, and spinning out into other topips. So
it's not quite the same, is it? Knowing that there's no one listening to us currently.
No, exactly. It's a bit disconcerting from my point of view. Is that it sounds a bit it'd be nice to have more people on live. It's always better to know that there's a few people there listening in. But we will have that again. But and on this kind of topic and others around the truth about predictive maintenance, I've had some good feedback about it, and we'll continue it. So for now, thank you to Nat for your contributions and insights. And we will be back very, very soon. Thank you all.
Cheers, Niall. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Please like and subscribe on all major podcast channels, and find out more about Senseye Predictive Maintenance at Siemens.com.